Hey guys, welcome back into our Python programming series. Today's topic is pretty simple. We're going to go ahead and discuss about the Python numbers and Python operators. So if you recall from our last session, I briefly mentioned about variables. So in Python, when you declare a variable, you don't have to specify the type of the variable. What I mean is you don't have to predefine, okay, hey, the variable that I intend to use, it's an integer variable. Is it a float? Is it a string? Is it a complex? So that's not something as a requirement with the Python. So keeping some of those things in the mind, we'll go ahead and talk about the different numbers type supported by the Pythons and some of the most commonly used operators, and you will get to see them in action. So in Python, there are basically three types of numbers that we mostly deal with. First are the integer numbers. I'm sure if you work with the maths and you kind of know about the integers. So integers are just the whole numbers basically. They can be positive numbers, they can be negative numbers, they can have an unlimited length. The main thing about the integers, they are without a decimal point. So if I need to declare an integer variable, it would be something like, hey, x is equals to some number. Let's say in this case we say x is equals to 1. So that means we are declaring or we are defining x being an integer variable. Again, it could be a positive. Another example would be y is equals to minus 10. So as long as there is no decimal point in a variable, when you are defining, those are your integers numbers basically, or integer variables. Again, they could be of a pretty much unlimited length. So I could have a z is equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And probably if you want, you can go ahead and repeat it again. Just to see that in action, let's go ahead and launch the Python command line. So I'll go ahead and do the Python. And again, let's go ahead and define a variable. X is equals to 10. Y is equals to minus 20. Z is equals to some large number, what we just declared. Now, all of these three variables that we have declared are of type integer. And again, if you are not sure what kind of variable you are dealing with, if you recall, we had discussed about a function called the type. So let's find out the type of variable x. And again, hey, we need to find, so that we need to print the value. So put that inside the print function. So if you go ahead and do that, it says, okay, hey, the variable x that you have declared is of type integer. Now let's verify the same thing for variable y. So let's go ahead and repeat that, and instead of x, I'm going to change that with y. And well done. Again, the y is of integer. It's a negative 20. That's what we said. An integer is a whole number, positive or negative, without any decimal points, and of really the unlimited length. Now let's verify the same thing for the z. So go ahead and type the z. So again, z is of the integer type. So that's one of the type of the numbers that we get to work with the Python. The another very famous or popular number type that we work in the Python is called float. So as you have kind of guessed, floats are basically the floating point numbers. Again, they could be a positive number, negative number, but the main thing, they do contain one or more decimal points. So an example would be like, okay, hey, I is equals to 1.20. So that means we are declaring a variable I with 1.20. So here dot really kind of says, okay, hey, this is a decimal point. It contains one or more decimal. In this case, there are 2 decimal points. So this number is called float or floating point number. Another example would be something like j is equals to minus 20.39. And so on. Hope you get the idea. So now let's go ahead and verify the same thing. So we go ahead and declare a variable I is equals to 1.20. And now let's find out the type of, we declare another variable, j is equals to minus 20.39. And now let's find their type. So we'd use that type function, type of I, and we need to print the value. So let's put it on the print function. So it says, okay, hey, the variable I that you had declared, which is 1.20, is of type float. Now let's verify the same thing for the variable j. So let's go ahead and repeat the same thing. Instead of I, just replace it with j, and it says, okay, hey, the j is of float type. There is another good thing about the float. If in the mathematics, like if you recall, we used to deal with the e raised to the power of 10. So you could represent a scientific number with E. So that would be something like this. So let me just go ahead and say X is equals to 13E3. So now if you need to find out the type of this variable, you can again say X, and now we need to print the value. So print around it and go ahead and simply say, so again, this is a float number. So here we are saying, okay, E to the indicate the power of 10. So we are saying 13 E to 3, that is the power of 10. The another number type in the Python that we get to work with is called complex numbers. So complex numbers are numbers usually returned with the lowercase letter j, j as in Django, as the imaginary part. So it would be something like X is equals to 5j, Y is equals to negative 10j. So this indicates, okay, hey, the type of variable that we have declared, these are of the variable type imaginary. So now let's go ahead and verify the same thing. So now we go ahead and declare X is equals to 5j, Y is equals to negative 10j, and now let's find out their type. So we use again the type function, and it says, okay, hey, the variable X that you have just declared, which contained the value 5j, is of the type complex. Now let's go ahead and verify the same thing for Y, and it's in this case it says, okay, hey, the Y is of the type complex. So hopefully you get the idea behind these three number types, which are available to us in the Python that we can go ahead and work with. So the first number type that we worked was the integer type. As long as they don't have any decimal point, they can be positive, negative, unlimited length. Another one that we dealt are the float point numbers, which has some decimal numbers. Again, they could be positive, negative. As long as there is a decimal point, you can go ahead and use that. And again, the decimal can be represented as power of E, which is 10. So it would be like 13E10. That could be another example. The third data type or the third number type in the Python that we deal is the complex, which are returned using the lowercase letter j. And if you recall from our previous episode, we talked about converting from one type to another type, which is called Python casting. So let's say if you have a variable, in this case I go ahead and define, I say X is equals 10. Any guesses what type of variable is X? Yes, if you guessed it integer, that's right. Again, if you are ever in doubt, make use of the type function and 10. Now let's say you want to convert this variable 10 from integer to a float, you could very well do that. So we can just simply say, hey, I want to print the value of X. If I just go ahead and say print the value of X, it would say, okay, hey, I'm printing the value being 10, that means it's an integer value. But let's say before printing the value, I want to convert X into a float, I could make use of the casting. So we'll say, hey, pass it to the float function first, and once that's done, then print the value. So in this case, guys, you can see it's 10.0. That means we just went ahead and converted temporarily our variable X, which was integer, to a float number, because you can see there is a decimal point. And again, you can make use of these casting functions that the type we discussed earlier, integer, float, string, to convert from one type to the another type. Okay, so I'm sure now you guys are clear on the three number type. Now let's talk about some of the most commonly used operators in Python. So there are kind of many operators available in the Python. There are arithmetic operators, there are assignment operators, there are comparison operators, there are logical operators, there are identity operators, there are bitwise operators, there are membership operators. So let's take a look at some of the very basic Python arithmetic operators. As the name indicates, hey, arithmetic operator to perform common mathematical operations. So let's say I declare a variable X is equals to 10, Y is equals to 20. And there are many mathematical operators available to us. There is a plus, which we can do for addition. There's a negative, subtraction, multiplication, division, modulus, exponential, and floor division. So there are different variables or different operators available that we can go ahead. So I can just simply say, hey, print the value, print X plus Y. In this case, your plus is nothing but it's an arithmetic operator which is doing the addition of the two numbers. Again, instead of plus, you could use minus if you want to subtract. If you want to do multiplication, you can make use of the multiplication. If you want to divide, so let's say I want to divide Y divide X. we can go ahead and do the division. One thing to make a note, when you divide the resulting number as a float number, while for some of the other operators that we used, whatever the value of the variable was, that was the result. So the x was integer, so the results were kind of integers. We can go ahead and do the modulus. So let's do the modulus. So the modulus will be the percentage symbol. So if you go ahead and that means, okay, hey, it's able to do the complete division. If you want to do the exponential, so you can make use of the double asterisk symbol. So this is the exponential for this number. Now let's go ahead and look at the floor division. So this is the syntax for the floor division. Okay, hey, 20 divided by 10 is 2. So there we would do with the floor division. So these are some of the most commonly used arithmetic operators: plus, minus, or the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, modulus, exponential, and floor division. Now let's go ahead and talk about some of the other operators that we have been kind of using without knowing. These are called Python assignment operators. If you remember, we have been saying, okay, hey, x is equals to 10. So in this case, the equal is your operator. So that means you are assigning a value of 10 to this variable x. So in this case, it's an assignment operators. So that's what x is equals to 10. Sometime let's say, okay, hey, we say x is equals to x plus 10. So before I do that, let me just show you. If we do a print x here, it says, okay, the value of x is 10. If I go ahead and do x is equals to x plus 10, and if we go ahead and print x, so now the x value is 20. Why? Because we are saying, okay, hey, whatever is the value of x was 10, do an addition of another 10 and store the resulting value in the same variable x. So the now resulting value is 20. So this x is equals to x plus 10 can be shorthanded, or the shorthand notation, we can make use of something like this. So if I declare x is equals to again 10, and instead of saying x is equals to x plus 10, we could just simply say x plus equal and whatever value we want to do. So in this case, we say x plus equal 10. Now if I go ahead and print the value of x, it's 20. So this is the shorthand notation for x is equals to x plus 10. So you get the idea. So now you can replace this plus or arithmetic operator addition with any other operator. You could specify a minus or subtraction, multiplication, division, modulus, exponential, floor division. Any operator that you want, you can go ahead and make use of some of these operators. So these are nothing but are called mostly the assignment operators. There are other operators that you will find pretty useful during this series. Those are called comparison operators. Let's say you want to test the value of two variables. These two variables are equal? Do they have the same values? So you could make use of the equal to operator, which is denoted by two equal sign. So that's the equal to operator, or just called simply the equal operator. And we'll be seeing some of these things later in the action. If I say x is equals to 10, y is equals to 20, if I need to compare, I can just simply say x equals to y, and it clearly says false. Okay, hey, because x has a value of 10 while y has a value of 20, and we are saying is x equals to y, and the result is false. They are not equal. So we can make use of the equal operator for the comparison. Same way equal, we have another operator called not equal, so which is denoted by exclamation and the equal sign. So we can make use of the exclamation and equal sign to say not equal. So if I repeat the same thing, x is equals 10, y is equals 20, and if I say x not equal to y, and the value is true, which is correct, we are saying, okay, hey, we are doing the negation or negative testing here, where we're checking, okay, is x not equals to y? Yes. In this case, x is not equal to y. That's the result we see is true. We can simply check for the greater than using the greater than symbol. We can check for less than using the less than symbol. We can make use of the greater than equal to. We can make use of the less than equal to. So now let's go ahead and verify the same thing. We are saying, okay, hey, is x greater than y? False. X is not greater than y. Why? Because x has a value of 10, y is 20. If we do the reverse, is y greater than x? It's true. Now if you want to check for less than, is x less than y? It says true. Yes, X is less than Y. If you want to go ahead and verify, is Y greater than equals to X? Sorry, because I did a space, my bad. Is Y greater than equals to X? Yes, in this case, Y is greater than equals to X. Is X less than equals to Y? Yes, X is less than equals to Y. So these are the different comparison operators that you can make use of. Your equal sign, just to test the equality of the two variables. You can make use of the not equal to sign. It's kind of reversed with that. Then there are many other symbols or the operators. You can make use of the greater than, less than, greater than equal to, and less than equal to. So these are called your Python comparison operator. Comparison operators mainly again just used to compare two values between two variables or multiple variables depending on the things that you want to make you do. There is another type of operator. Those are called your logical operators. So the logical operators are kind of used to combine conditional statement. If you want to combine one or two statement or multiple statement, and then based on that you want to see if something is equal, not equal, greater than, less than. So we have couple operators which are available to us. We have the operator available to us is AND. So as the name says, AND. The AND returns a true if both the statements are kind of true. So let's say if I say X, so let's go ahead and see that in action. So I'll say X is equals to 10. Now we are going to check. I'd say X less than equals to 5, and is X less than equals to greater than 10. So the value is false. We are saying, okay, is 10 less than 5? No. Is 10 greater than 10? No. Now let's go ahead and change this to make it 20. In this case, we say, okay, hey, is 10 less than equals to 5? This part is false. Is 10 greater than 20? No. So that part is also false. So that means false and false is false. Now if I go ahead and change something like 4. Is 10 less than 5? False. Is 10 greater than 4? True. False, true is also false. Now if I go ahead and say, okay, hey, is X less than 11 and X greater than 4? The result is true because we are saying, okay, is 10 less than 11? The statement is true. And is 10 greater than 4? True. So true and true is true. So that means if both the statements that you are trying to compare are true, only then the result or the overall result will be true in this case. If you have one true, one false, it will be false. If you have both false, it will be false. So something that needs to keep in mind. The another type of operator that we deal is called OR operator. As it kind of says, okay, or if one of the statements is true, the result will be true. So if I go back and compare the OR with the AND, in the case of AND, if both the operators or both the statements were true, only then the result was true. If one of the result was true and false, we had a false. If both had a false, it was false. While in case of OR, if both are false, it will be false. But if one of the result or one of the statement is true, the result will be true. If both the statements are true, the result will be true. So if I go ahead and try the same thing over here again, is X less than 5 or is X less than 4? And the result is false because 10 is not less than 5 or 10 is not less than 4. So the result is false. But if I repeat the same thing, I'm saying, hey, is 10 less than 5 or is 10 less than 11? In this case is true because is 10 less than 5? This part is false. But or is 10 less than 11? This is true. So false or true is true. So now let's go ahead and repeat that. We are saying, okay, hey, is X less than 20 or X less than 11? So is 10 less than 20? Yes, this part is true. Or 10 less than 11? This part is also true. So true or true, the overall result is again true. And similarly, we have another operator called NOT. You get the idea, which is simply reverse the result, returns false if the result is true. And if the result is true, it will go ahead and return the result as false. So you could just simply put your expression and around your expression you can just simply say put a not, say x is to 5 and x less than 10, and you can go ahead and put a not in the front basically, so that would just reverse the whole thing. So this is our third operator, which is your not operator. There are another operator type in the Python, sometimes called the identity operators. If you noticed, when we were doing something, x is equals to 10 and y is equals to, let's say again 10, and when we said x equals to y, we were saying, okay, hey, if I need to read this in simple English, I'm saying is x equals to y, which is true. So we can make use of the is operator. So we can simply write in the English language, I'm saying is x is y, so which is true. It's returning true if both variables are the same object. Are they of the same object? Are they referencing to the same thing? Yes. Again, we can make use of is not. So if I'm saying is x is not y, which is false. Hey, it's not y. Let's try again. X is equals to 10, y is equals to 20. Now let's try x is y. Now x is not y in this case. Now let's go ahead and repeat that, and which is true. In this case, x and y are not equal, so you can go ahead and make use of is and is not operator also. These operators are sometimes called the identity operators too. Then another type of operators available in Python are called membership operators. So just like is and is not, we have something called in and not in. So if you want to see if something is present inside something, you can make use of these operators. And again, we will be making use of these operators later in the series. So if I give you a quick example, let's say we have a sentence, hello Python, and you need to see if the Python is in the string or not. You can make use of the in operators. So the in operator really returns a true if a sequence with the specified value is present in the object or the main string. So like I give you an example, the main string is hello Python, and in that string if we are checking, okay, hey, if is hello present, so I can say hello in hello Python. Again, if you don't want to check, you can make use of the not in operator. So these are the two operators that we are going to learn later, in and not in. So something just to keep in mind. There are other type of operators are called bitwise operators. If you need to set the different bits, you can make use of the different operators. There are many bitwise operators available. There is something called AND, there is OR, XOR, NOT. These are the different bitwise operators. Mainly if you need to compare or do something with the binary numbers, you will find these operators pretty handy. So these operators are AND, OR, there is XOR, and there is a NOT, which inverts all the bits basically and sets each bit to 1 if both the bits are 1. So these operators are pretty handy if you are trying to do any comparison or any work with the binary numbers. So this is all about in this episode where we kind of talked about the different number types are available and the operators that we can use and work with these operators. Thank you, and I will see you in the series next episode.